Okay, in this tutorial, we're going to use Inkscape to do the same setup as we did in Google Slides. This gives you a bit more functionality, and I'd like to show you the differences between the two platforms. Okay, so Inkscape is a bit of software to work with vector graphics and sheets. So for large presentations, Inkscape is a great tool to start using to create A1 sheets, and there'll be another tutorial at the end of the year where we'll cover using Inkscape to set up an A1 sheet. Okay, all right, so straightforward. If you've got Inkscape installed, you're going to go to File. We're going to set up our document properties first. That's a good place to start. And here you can see we've got options of page sizes already, which is great. Here we can pick, I'm going to say portrait, and I'll use portrait for now, and then I can simply escape. Now we've got an A3 sheet. Okay, in addition to your document setup, just remember there is a shortcut over here that you can use the whole time. Okay, here we can go and set up our units, so change your units to millimeters. That's important, so when you're measuring stuff, everything's in millimeters. Here we've got your guides, and so here you can go and, just like you did in Google Slides, you can go and set up guides. So I'm going to say create guides around page straight away, and you can see already it's created guides around my page. Same principle, same concept we're going to follow. So here's the shortcut. Just remember, change your units to millimeters, make sure that the size is correct. Okay, now we're going to start working. We won't have these here at the moment. I'll explain how to activate these tools. So the first thing we're going to do is go and create a shape, a rectangle. Just click and drag. Once again, it's a basic shape. When you select the shape, you'll notice at the top here now, we can actually customize the shape. Okay, so the first set of coordinates is where it's located, and then the next set of coordinates is where the size of the object. So very straight, the width will be 210, and the height will be 297. Okay, that's an A4 sheet. We're gonna keep this object in because we're gonna use it as a masking object. Inkscape doesn't have the same function where you can crop your image, so we have to use this as a mask. Okay, now that this is in play, we're gonna go to Object. There's a lot more power here and a lot more commands to make your really transform your presentations. Okay, so you will see there's a lot of commands here, but there's a whole playlist of tutorials on the ClickUp module page which you can follow. So I'm going to use the line and distribute, and you'll see now it will open up a set of tools here. Okay, and the more tools you have open, you can simply start using this to have access to those tools. What I have found is if you start having too many, they start getting a bit cluttered. So just remember that. So if you select to that one, you'll see that it moves it to the bottom, and you can't always see it. So I just like to dock them and then use the ones that I need. Same principle. However, this gives you a lot more options to arrange this object around. So here I'm going to select page. So then it will arrange it according to the page. And now you can see I can center it that way and center it that way, just like we did in Google Slides. Now, just the same, I'm going to drag my guides in and snap it to my object. Perfect. Now I'm going to grab one more guide at the top. Okay, if you double click on your guides now, this is very different. You can now copy and paste these coordinates into your sheet now. This is what I like about Inkscape. It gives you a lot more power. You can simply copy that, press. Okay, once you copied it, you can just simply close and copy here. Just remember you're using X and Y. This is slightly different. And here I can simply paste. Okay, now you can see this is perfectly aligned. Grab this object and you're going to move it to the top. It will snap. Just remember, in this bit of software, you might have to switch on your snaps. Okay, it's very you won't have access to this straight away. If you go to Document Properties, there's a snap section where you can go and enable a whole lot of snapping parameters. However, on the side of your screen here, Inkscape, you'll see if you hover snap to centers, snap to page, snap to borders. Here you've got a whole lot of additional information that you can enable. So here you can see automatic enable snapping. You can switch it off if you want to. All right, and here you can see snap to guide, snap to grid, so you can use grids as well. But for now, we're just going to use guides. I'm going to drag this guide down, snap it to that object, and I'll grab one more down. Yeah. Okay, double click this one, and here I'm going to say 415. There we go. Exactly the same process. Okay, so now once you've got your page set up, you can also switch off your guides as well. So you can see guides here, you can uncheck those. Very much the same. Okay, this is where it gets slightly different. When you want to bring in images to use, you have to drag them from your desktop. So I'm going to use my desktop quickly. I've got a working folder where I've got this example. Okay, so I'm just going to go and find that image that I've downloaded very quickly. So it's mid-exam. So here I've got some examples of an image that I'd like to use. You simply drag and drop it in. So this is slightly different. When you drag this into this bit of software, you get an option to embed it or link it. You would use the link option if you want to keep editing the photo in GIMP, for example, and it's a live link to this document. So if you edit it in GIMP, it will automatically reflect the changes on this document. However, in this case, I'm going to say embed and press OK. Okay. Likewise, we've got the same set of commands here. So straight away, lock your proportions. This is slightly different to Google Slides. Here, you've got to lock these proportions. Okay. Means if I drag the corner, it will scale accordingly. But you can see this is a lot more intuitive the way it snaps. And what's slightly different here, and I'll show you this as well, you'll need to use your draw orders. So draw orders means if you select an object, you can bring objects to the front and back. This works slightly different in Inkscape. So what you need to do is you'll need to go to Objects, click on Objects, and it'll open up an Objects tab on the side here. Drag this down a bit. So this will, if you select your different objects, it'll show you what you're selecting. And if you use this up and down arrow, so in this use, the rectangle needs to be in front. You can see the rectangle is now in front of my image. Okay, or if I move below, it's below my image. So this is slightly different, but it gives you a lot more power and a lot more flexibility, and it's better to manage your objects, especially if you've got lots of images in your file. You can start managing these here. Okay, grab my image, and you can give these names now. Grab your image, move it around. So same, move your arrow keys, get the image correctly. Now, this is where it gets tricky. In GIMP, you don't have a crop tool. Okay, so what you have to do is you use a rectangle tool that we've used, this rectangle, and we're going to use this as a masking object. So when you use this to clip an object, it works on order of selection. So if I select this object first, then this object, it's telling me I'm going to use the first object I've selected, and it's going to clip the second object. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to select our rectangle, press Control down, and then select the second object. You're going to go to Object tab here, and you see there's a clip function, and you're going to go and say Set. So you can see what it's done now, and it would have changed. It's telling you here it's got a clipping. So it's got a clipping. If you say release, it will undo what you've done. So that's very powerful because it allows you to change the clipping object at any time to reset that clip. Okay, so let's do that again. We'll do this, will be a few more tutorials to explain this in more in depth, but for now, you just got to understand you need to clip your image. So again, select that object first, and then the second object, which will be your image. You're going to go to Object, and you're going to say Clip Set. Okay, so now you can see it's done exactly that. I can grab this, Control C, Control V, just like we did. Here in this image now, I'm going to select this image, and I'm going to say Release. Okay, so by releasing the clip, oops, wrong image. Select that image there. I'm going to say Release. Release. Okay. Now I've got that clip now you can see it's got the two objects again. I don't need that rectangle anymore. Now make sure that that's locked again. Now I can simply drag this down, and I can move this into this location. And you see the workflow works exactly the same way as you did in. Okay, exactly the same way. Now we can just simply start adding text. This is slightly different now. When we start adding text here, however, just remember you can align your font in different ways. You can see you've got different ways your font works. Again, we can set this to center, which is what we want. Okay, and if you want to edit your font, you have to keep going back into this command. Okay. All right, don't do this because it'll break that tool. Just remember this works slightly differently. Go in here again, edit your font, and you're going to simply paste in the font that you need. So I'm just going to quickly open up my example that I created and just copy the font over. Okay, so this, you don't use text blocks in this instance. You're going to use you're going to type the font. But you can see at the top you get access to all the same fonts. You can change this to pixels or inches. Here millimeters will work fine. This is going to be slightly different. You're going to use, I'll use 3 mil maybe here. I'll use 5 mil font for this. Okay, Arial. Here you've got a lot more options with your font, so you can do a lot more with it. Okay, so let me just grab the font from this other file that I was doing quickly. So I'm just going to grab some of this quickly, Control C, Control V. Okay, so now you can see I've got my font. And likewise, you can open up this fill in the range again. You can open this tool up again, maximize that one. Same thing, relation to the page, very neat. Okay, so however, don't drag that because you're actually breaking your font. Just remember that you can do that tool, but now you can see this will look very much the same as we did just now. Again, grab some more font, start over here. This will work slightly differently. Here we're going to change this to 3 mil and start typing. And change this to 3. I'm going to go and grab all of this. This is very different in the sense that you will need to, you'll get used to using these font sizes because especially next year, when we start doing a lot of large format presentation, you'll need to start understanding how that works. If you want to, you'll see you've got a pointer that you'll grip and it'll pull it. So that's the only slight difference with this. You get these grips. While you're using this font, you have to use these little grips here to move your, and it's not the most intuitive tool, I must admit. So grab, you select this little point over here. Sorry, let's just try and move that grid again. So let's grab this guy over here. Is a way to grab these. So let's just use this tool. I'm going to move this over here and then go back in your editing font. Now you can drag this and you'll see that this will snap to there. Okay. Select all of this. I might change this a lot higher. So let's make that 5 maybe as well. So here you can play around 4.5 mil. You can change it to pixels as well. But yeah, this is slightly different to what you're doing in slides. Here we're actually working with actual height of text. So that's important. Okay, now that I've got that in play, and you can see it's starting to look exactly the same as the Google Slides. Last thing I need to do is just add my name at the bottom. And just bear this in mind. When you're adding objects here, you can see these text files, these 2 text files. You want them to be on top of the images, just in case it moves underneath your font. So it's just a draw order. So everything that's at the top here will be on top, and everything at the bottom will be at the bottom. Okay. All right, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so we've got these 2 working well. Nudge that down. You can see that will start at a nice point. Just go back in here. Actually, if you use this tool, this is the tool that you can use. But this grip, I've noticed, I've had issues with these grips. The second grip works well, but this grip, I've noticed, see, that will work fine. But this origin, it's hard. You've got to go to this tool over here, this selection tool, select this font, and then move it. Okay, so that's just telling you where it's starting. Okay, that's just telling you where it starts. So you'll have to move this a bit closer. So maybe like that. Remember, go back in here now and then select this tool to there. Okay, so it's wrapping your text. All right, that's good. Now I'm going to add one last little bit of text with my name. And again, and then just put your student number at the end. Okay. Okay, I've just made that up. Double click in here. And you can keep labeling these. If you've got a lot of fonts, you can label these, change the names. Again, that I'm going to change to, maybe just make this 3.5. Okay, That's good. It'll read fine on your sheet. Now what you can do is you can change the rotation. So here you can simply select, and if you click on the outside of this object, there's a tool on the outside that you can click sometimes to. Okay, let's just see. Okay, this is slightly different. So select your font. It won't work like a shape. Select your font, and you can see you can change the read direction. Okay, so you can change it to read up or down. So here you can say that way. Okay. You can make it read in the opposite direction. Okay, so you've got a lot of these tools to help you. Okay, so read bottom left to right. So here you've got lots of different tools that you can use. See, you can change the order in which you can spread it out. So yeah, lots of power, lots of tools to use here. Let's grab this guy and we can put this over here. Okay. Now there is a way to rotate this. Usually there's a rotation tool that will allow you to rotate this by. Okay. But you have to convert this. You'll have to change this to an object rather. But for now, that's fine. Okay, because it's the way we read documents as well. So leave it like that. That's good for now. And you can put this on the side. Okay. Let me just explain what I mean. If I pull in a normal object and I go to the Move tool, if you hover on the outside, it should allow me to rotate these. There we go. Okay. So you see it will allow you to rotate them. Okay, but you can also use the rotate. There is a rotate command that will allow you to rotate these objects as well. Okay. Just get that again.
Yeah, the session's available.
Okay, great. Okay, but there is a way to activate these rotates. Okay, so let's just grab. So you grab on the edge. So that's what you do. You're going to grab the object. Okay, why don't you want to rotate? So you click in the selecting blocks, you click once, click twice, so it'll allow you different options. So select the object, click in the shape, click in the shape once, and then you can rotate. It's likewise with the font, it'll do the same. Okay, now once that's complete, this is also very straightforward and easy. You're going to go to File, you're going to go and say Export, or Save As, my apologies, Save As, and here if you scroll down, it'll be Portable Document Format, PDF, and you just save this A3 Inkscape. And then desktop save. And here you say convert all paths. You can embed fonts. That's totally up to you. Just save it just like that. And now if I go to my desktop, I'll move it into the right location. Here, if I open this PDF up, you can see it's printed perfectly. Okay, very neat, precise, well formatted.